Story 1. People who vague book, tagging themselves at the hospital with no explanation or follow-up when people ask. Random comments are meant to bait people into asking what is wrong, again with no follow-up answer. Story 2. People who use to, there, your, and your incorrectly. Some of the other grammar issues I can overlook, but to me, these are so basic and it really drives me nuts. Story 3. Family vloggers do not sit right with me. Imagine having your entire life or childhood subjected to the internet against your will. Children deserve privacy, especially from creeps on the internet. Story 4. People with terrible spatial awareness who block up the middle of grocery store aisles or stand right in the middle of the busy walkways in the airport. Story 5. People who talk on speakerphone in public spaces should put in some headphones or put the phone to their ear like a normal, considerate member of society. Nobody wants to hear your ridiculous conversation. Story 6. People who pull into a drive-thru and spend 10 minutes looking at the menu. It's like, go inside if you don't know what you want. You're making me hangry. Story 7. People who don't put the separator down when you're about to buy groceries or just being inconsiderate or not mindful of surroundings. Like if you're blocking the way. Oh my God. Another big one is when sharing a sidewalk and the person walking towards you doesn't move over, so you have to, or else you'll just bump into each other. Story 8. Louder than everyone else in a bar, tavern, or restaurant. There comes a time to close out and go home. Rude people in public, mostly in retail establishments. People who take their anger out on the waitress, cashier, or anyone else who does not deserve this. Story 9. I was in a coffee shop, and a woman's child was literally climbing on me, and I think she noticed it was making me uncomfortable. She proceeded to tell me she lets her kid do whatever, so if it offends me, I should leave. I am not a confrontational person in the least, and my blood just boiled, and I sat there until the kid got off me. I think it bothers me more that I let it happen than what the mom allowed to happen. In short, parents and dog owners let their kids and dogs do whatever they want in public places. Story 10. Bad spelling, especially those involving words such as your slash, your to, their slash, there, is so frustrating for me. I know dyslexia makes this really hard, but I just can't help it. It's so horribly jarring to read. Note, when I make typos, I hate myself too. Never fear, judgment is not solely reserved for other people. Story 11. I used to be super judgmental, but I've since become more of a live and let live person, letting the legal system judge people. The one thing I will not let go of, however, is people who litter cigarette butts. Story 12. I secretly judge people who brag about themselves too much. Even if they brag about things that are actually true, I find it weird to hear someone praise himself so much. Maybe it's because it's something I would never do for myself. If somebody else wants to say something nice about me, okay. But I would not sit and list all my amazing qualities out of the blue. I find it kind of obnoxious. Story 13. Subway station doors. One or two will be propped open and people tend to bottleneck at these points. However, there are 2 to 8 other functioning doors that aren't propped open. It seems none of these individuals are capable of making the simple decision to use another door. Occasionally, I will pull open a door and yell, "Holy smokes, guys! All the doors work." The response is lackluster. I find myself wondering, are these individuals happier than me? This thought plagues me. Story 14. Parents who are overly permissive and don't have any influence over their children. I know I shouldn't judge them because these parents are probably responding in a permissive way due to unhealed trauma from their own childhood, but it's hard not to. I also judge parents who are overly mean and dismissive of their children. Story 15. I love judging people for 0 reasons. When I worked as a security guard at bars, that was my favorite thing to do. I would make up backstories and everything to entertain myself. Story 16. How people dress. I am a woman and I know I should not judge other women, but sometimes I see them wearing items to the office that look more appropriate for a night out at the club. I am talking about leather mini skirts and sequin tops. It is kind of ridiculous. Story 17. Long nails. Unless you are scrubbing them with a brush underneath all day long, it's just filthy. I'm a bartender, and it's disgusting to see other bartenders with long nails. I've seen makeup under them, ketchup, and stains red from cherries. It's repulsive. Story 18. As a realtor, I always judged people on how many books they had in their home. Even if they lived in a trailer but had a lot of books, they rated higher than the most posh homes that didn't even have a magazine. Story 19. Really good-looking people. I usually assume they are vain, but that's pretty unfair of me, so I try to be cognizant of my bias and adjust my behavior accordingly. Story 20. Understanding basic current events is essential. Oh, is Biden not running? Why is the freeway closed? These questions may arise despite being informed for 10 weeks that it will be closed for the weekend for repairs. Story 21. Brides at weddings who believe their special day grants them the right to be incredibly selfish, nitpicky about every detail, and disrespectful to those helping them save money for their wedding. Story 22. I work in social services. When my clients are in a difficult financial situation, especially those with children, but still smoke cigarettes. If I find out a coworker or acquaintance went to Brigham Young University. Story 23. People who hold up parking spaces before the car that's supposed to be parked gets there. People who double park or parallel park. And those who park in disabled spaces when they have no business doing so. What on God's green earth is your problem? Story 24. Parents who let their kids scream, melt down, or cry loudly in stores. I came here to get away from my kids, so I am going to need you to parent your children. If your child is having a meltdown, remove them from the store. Story 25. People who don't like watching foreign films or shows because they don't like reading subtitles. I understand that not everyone is built to read and pay attention to a show at the same time, so they truly can't enjoy stuff in the same way. But also, there's a whole world of stuff in other languages, and you're missing out. Story 26. Reciprocation in any relationship. I unintentionally keep track of how balanced my relationships are with my partner, friends, coworkers, and so on. I can get pretty annoyed with relationships that do not put in as much effort as I do with them. I am trying to stop. Story 27. People who date or marry someone substantially younger. It doesn't affect me whatsoever, and I shouldn't care, but when someone has a spouse younger than their adult children, I secretly judge them. Story 28. I know it's terrible, but I secretly judge what people buy at the grocery store. It's one thing to have a few snacks and treats in your cart. It's another when it's all junk food. Story 29. If somebody doesn't know how to use an apostrophe, I immediately assume they're an idiot and I mentally throw them in the trash. It's not fair because people have so many different things that make them great. Story 30. People who come to my store and play $200 worth of lottery and buy their $11 pack of Newport cigarettes, then whip out the food stamp card to pay for their snacks. Story 31. Lying and cheating in relationships. I am fully aware that evolution is at odds with monogamy and that lying, to an extent, is necessary for society to not implode on itself, but I think cheaters and people actively and intentionally deceiving their partner are scum. Story 32. People who record videos or take pictures of amateur fireworks shows and post them on social media. No one is watching your 15-part Facebook story of your backyard fireworks display. Barbara. Story 33. Face tattoos. I have ink and I support people being able to express themselves, but I also judge people who choose to get tattoos on their faces. Yes, I am aware those points are contradictory. Story 34. I have autoimmune arthritis and I know I shouldn't have this complex about it, but I do. I go to school at an academic medical center and we have to park across the street for class. It ends up being somewhere between half a mile to a full mile walk, depending on how far back in the lot you are. Nurses park there too, so really any time after 8 a.m. and you get a bad spot. However, we do have shuttles. In my experience, waiting for the shuttle takes longer than walking, so I just walk. The only times I've ever taken the shuttle were when it was pouring down raining, and when I was having a particularly bad flare-up with terrible pain. Most of my classmates take the shuttle every day, and I really shouldn't, but I do judge them for it. It just seems lazy. Like I said, I shouldn't have this complex since it doesn't affect me, but I have chronic pain and I still walk. The judgment does become valid for my classmates who are chronically late and blame it on the shuttle. Like I said, It's almost always quicker to walk since they're super unpredictable. Story 35. I judge people who see no problem with multi-level marketing schemes, whether it's the actual consultants selling products or recruiting, or if it's just people that buy the products and think it's okay. No one should be supporting these scamming, predatory business models. And I automatically think people that disagree with that statement are pretty poor in judgment. Story 36. Parents who can't seem to get their lives or their kids' lives together. I mostly feel like I shouldn't judge because I don't have children yet, but some things these parents post on social media grind my gears, man. Story 37. I'm a girl's girl by all means, but if you're using public transit and decide to wear nothing but a literal bra or bikini top and booty shorts on the bus, I'm judging. Half of these girls wearing outfits like this look not even 18, and they usually always make comments about how guys are staring at them. Story 38. When parents use devices to babysit their children, talk to your children and parent them, for goodness sake. Or when parents are on their devices and not paying attention to their children who are running rampant. Story 39. People who say, I hate reading. In my eyes, you essentially just dragged your knuckles across the floor in front of me, threw some feces, and then started gnawing on the furniture. Goodbye, illiterate caveman. Story 40. I always notice spelling and in what manner people speak. I ask, is what is being said thoughtful and formed properly? It is extremely childish, and I hate that I do it. Now, I realize it's a form of telling myself that I'm okay despite my shortcomings, that those shortcomings might not be as consequential to life, in general, as I believe. Story 41. People who drive with a dog in their lap. Most states have hands-free laws where you can't hold a phone up to your ear anymore. However, people can drive with a dog climbing all over them. Story 42. Men wearing flip-flops. They're sloppy, loud, and I hate them. I've broken up with several men because they wore flip-flops. I can't help it. It's an instant turnoff as soon as flip-flops enter the conversation. Story 43. Music taste. I know I shouldn't, but I can't help it. I am weak. You listen to a loop of the same two chords topped with a quacking goose singing in autotune. I imagine your brain cells screaming in pain, pleading for mercy. Story 44. People waiting for an elevator who try to barge in as soon as the doors open without waiting for the people that are in the elevator to step out. Anyone who parks on their front lawn on a regular basis, even though they have some sort of a driveway or a garage. People who make every single conversation about themselves. Bad grammar. Story 45. A young lady once told me, "Don't you threaten my beliefs with your facts." I have become quite judgmental of people who refuse to acknowledge facts and data in favor of their own wacky belief system.